Previously on Battle 360. Truk Lagoon, the Central Pacific. Like a hammer of hell, Enterprise's warplanes nailed the Gibraltar of the Pacific and gave the Japanese Empire a Pearl Harbor of their own. Now, the Big E turns toward the Mariana Islands, one deadly step closer to the enemy homeland. And the American submarines have the Imperial fleet locked in their sights. USS Enterprise, a fighting city of steel. She is the most revered and decorated ship of World War II. On this 360-degree battlefield, where threats loom on the seas, in the skies, and in the ocean depths, the Enterprise's enemies could be anywhere and everywhere. There's nowhere to run when the battle's all around you. Battle 360, USS Enterprise, D-Day in the Pacific. This series is brought to you with limited commercials by the men and women of Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Dawn, June 13th, 1944. In the waters off Saipan, in the Mariana Islands. Aircraft carrier USS Enterprise clears for action. Her massive flight deck is alive with revving engines as the TBF Avengers of Torpedo Squadron 10 prepare to hit enemy positions on Saipan. In command of Torpedo 10 is Bill Martin. He's a seasoned leader with 2 bloody years aboard Enterprise under his belt.
Finest officer you'd ever meet. Everybody trusted him, and he was an excellent pilot. He'd been around quite a while. He'd been in a scouting squadron before, and so he was just an all-around good officer.
Flying in the Big Avenger with Martin are Radio Man First Class J.T. Williams and Ordnance Man W.R. Hargrove. Their target is a Japanese flak battery on the southern tip of the island, where in just a few days, U.S. ground troops will be slogging ashore. The enemy's stronghold is covered with anti-aircraft artillery, and it's Enterprise's job to wipe them out.
We were dropping bombs on land targets and any ships or anything that were happened to be there. It was not like we'd had at Guadalcanal. We didn't have much opposition there. By then we had the F-6Fs and we were pretty well protected.
For 2 days, Enterprise and the fleet of American carriers have been launching airstrikes against Saipan, pummeling the island with bombs in anticipation of a major invasion by U.S. Marines and soldiers. 200 miles away, an American battleship division moves within range of the enemy island for a massive bombardment. USS New Jersey and her sister Iowa-class battleships open fire with heavy broadsides from their 16-inch batteries. These warships are a new generation of fast battleships. The Iowa-class battleship weighs in at 45,000 tons, with an overall length of 887 feet. In addition to dozens of 5-inch, 40mm, and 20mm anti-aircraft guns, they pack an impressive 9 16-inch 50 caliber rifles, capable of killing a target at 25 miles. There's just one problem. The gunners on these ships are raw and inexperienced in shore bombardment. 10,000 yards away, enemy machine gun nests, pillboxes, and bunkers weather the incoming fire. Most of the 2,400 16-inch projectiles, each weighing nearly a ton, are simply wasted. They barely scrape the surface of the Japanese positions.
The Japanese were very, very good at entrenchment and cover and concealment. So it was very difficult to even see their targets, first of all, much less being able to put effective naval gunfire on top of them.
It's going to take a lot more to wipe out the enemy defenses. 10 miles away, Bill Martin's group of 7 TBF Avengers arrives over their target, Japanese gun emplacements and bunkers. Martin's plane peels off and heads for a Japanese flak battery. He's got 2 500-pound bombs, enough ordnance to annihilate the enemy position. but the Japanese see him coming and open fire. At 12,000 feet, bursts of steel flak pepper the air all around his Avenger. Martin rolls into a steep dive, heading right for his target at high speed.
Really, the plane should have been about 250 knots for a diving profile. This guy's going maybe 350, 360. It's pretty fast. The plane wasn't really made for that. It's doing a mission it's not designed for.
At 350 miles per hour, and in a near vertical dive, Martin's plane catches a load of shrapnel just as he releases his bomb load. Martin's in a flat spin, out of control. His Avenger begins a deadly tumbling freefall towards the Earth. Extreme negative G's are literally pulling the pilot out of his seat.
You might not be able to reach your stick and throttle. You might not be able to actuate the comm link to talk to your crew member. The blood is being pushed, into your face, and you just can't think straight.
He tries to call Williams and Hargrove on the mic. No answer. His plane is on fire. Only seconds separate Martin from a fiery death. At the last possible moment, he releases his harness, jerks the ripcord, and is pulled out of the burning aircraft. Martin's parachute blossoms just as his plane slams into a lagoon. His body makes a rough landing in 5 feet of water as charred debris falls all around him. 30 feet away, his Avenger crackles under an oily black plume, a funeral pyre for his veteran crew. With Japanese machine guns and rifles firing at him from shore, Martin slowly makes his way to a reef 1,000 yards away.
So he paddled outside the lagoon. They were shooting at him for a while, but he got outside. Somebody came in and picked him up.
Martin is later rescued by the cruiser Indianapolis, and the next day is returned to the Big E, very lucky to be alive. And it's only the beginning. On the night of June 14th, an American submarine makes a startling discovery. For the first time in more than 18 months, a massive Japanese fleet has taken to the seas, and it's headed right for Saipan and USS Enterprise. Flashback, 1 month earlier, May 1944. For 6 months, the U.S. fleet has been raising hell in the Central Pacific, and carriers like USS Enterprise have seen their share of the action. Now, the U.S. command prepares for the next phase of battle, a major drive on the Central Pacific's Mariana Islands. The U.S. Navy sets their sights on Saipan, the main focus of the operation. And the fleet is ripped and ready for action. By now, the American war machine has built an armada unlike anything ever seen.
And so what you have is a Pacific fleet that ends up with a large number of aircraft carriers that can move quickly, more and more ships. It's a bigger, faster, and much more deadly Navy.
If the U.S. can capture Saipan, the island will offer an ideal base for U.S. Army B-29 Super Fortress bombers. From here, the massive warplanes can begin strategic bombing of the home islands.
We would be able to contribute to the battle a major strategic air campaign against the Japanese home islands. And it was thought that by subjecting the Japanese home island to a protracted strategic air campaign, the likes of which we were doing to the Germans in Europe, it would accelerate the end of the war.
Target, Saipan. Objective, seize the heavily defended enemy island, crush the Japanese garrison. Strategy, carriers like Enterprise will hammer the island with warplanes. Battleships will pummel it from the sea, and U.S. Marines and soldiers will battle the enemy on land.